Okay, I don't know what's been going on with my Facebook and with a lot of my stuff, but for some goddamn reason, my videos haven't been saving, and I've been having a lot of problems putting my Facebook and my stuff up. So I've been trying to post a lot of videos, and you guys know me that when I try to do car-related stuff, I try to do it under Tracks Revolution, the Tracksaholics podcast. Or when I do stuff under my normal video, I do it under the Berserker Naked podcast, which the Berserker Naked podcast is the naked truth and basically is my life story. Now, one of the things that I don't go by anymore, and I try not to, is I don't go by Jack Craning or Jonathan Craning. I have never gone by that name for a long time because that name in my life is dead. After I've realized things in my life, Jaximus Claus is who I want to be. I have a lot more fun being Jaximus. I have a lot more fun being the person that I want to be, because I started this whole Jaximus thing. I did start Jaximus a while ago. It was back when Jake was at the McNally Smith School of Music, when Jacob Hope was at the McNally Smith School of Music in St. Paul. I started calling myself Jaximus. Then Jaximus the Berserker. Then everything else fell from there. I used to do DJing, and I used to call myself Cowboy Jaximus when I was doing country music. And I thought that was really cool. And then, I realized to myself that if I was ever to become a master of ceremonies, or if I was to be a DJ ever again, I would call myself, and I think this is kind of cool, Berserker Claws. Because if I'm on the 1 and 2s, I like to cut so much with my claws. So Berserker Claws. Yeah. So my DJ name is DJ Berserker Claws. Yes. So, because anybody could call themselves DJ Jaximus or anything like that. And Jaximus is my name, but Berserker Claws is my name, is my DJ name. So DJ Berserker Claws. Yeah. So I don't know what's been going on, but I go live on Facebook, and then they have these little buttons on the side of the thing that says that if you want to download the video, you can download it to your phone. But I just don't understand. It's not letting me download the video. It's not letting me download the video. So I just did a whole entire podcast basically about what is going on this weekend for me. Well, because today is Saturday, and in about 7 hours, I have to get ready to go to Lake Ann in Chanhassen and meet up with the rest of the Minnesota United Minis, because we're going to this British invasion takeover at the Chanhassen Autoplex, downtown Chanhassen, or Chanhassen, at the Autoplex, because it's British Invasion Car Week. And so we're going to be there with the Mini Coopers, and we're going to be having a blast and having fun. So I can't wait for that. And then after that is over with, I have another show that I have to go to I'm meeting up with my friend Brad. Now, Brad, I met at Katie's show called Gears and Garters, Tassels and Turbos. I met Brad, and he has a clothing company. He is a guy that does clothing, and he wants to help launch my brand, which is Trax Revolution Traxaholics. And the Trax Revolution Traxaholics, that's basically my brand, and what that is it's basically a group of people that love having fun driving around vehicles and laying tracks at racetracks or at sanctioned events, trying to keep everything off the streets, off the highways, trying to not get pulled over for doing stupid stuff like doing burnouts and driving really fast on streets or on highways and stuff like that. We like to have fun, but we like to do it at the track. Our motto is live, drive, lay tracks at the track. That's what Trax Revolution has always been about in our 30 years. The Traxaholics thing is basically, a Traxaholic is a person who likes to go drive around in a car at a racetrack. They like to be at a track. And basically what I want to do is make an automotive brand of clothing for people. Like make bibs or overalls that say Trax Revolution, Traxaholics on the back of them. I want to make like t-shirts that have really cool graffiti style lettering. I want to put cars onto t-shirts, like cartoon cars, like brand names like Supra and stuff like that, but make them look more cartoonish, basically more drawn, not AI. But I also just want to make the Traxaholics stuff stand out. And I have to go to a t-shirt show or it's called like an urban outdoor show for clothing, and that's over where Turbos and Tassels was in Lindale Avenue, in downtown Minneapolis. So I'm going to be at that show, and that's today here. I think that's at like 1 o'clock to 7, and I'm going to meet up with Brad, and I'm going to talk to him. Also, there was a guy that I met at the show. His name is Derek, and Derek also does custom t-shirts using a printer, like one of these, like a printing like he does like a direct t-shirt printer, like a garment printer. That's what he has. He has a garment printer. He bought himself a really nice garment printer, and he prints stuff right onto the t-shirts. And I think he is a really cool guy, and I think he is a great person. And I would love him to do some of the stuff for Trax Revolution. Also, I want to start pushing my Camo Claws stuff, because it is getting closer to winter time, and I do want to start selling stuff for Camo Claws. I want to sell my t-shirts like, yes, Minnesota, there is a Camo Claws, and yes, I believe in Camo Claws, and I want to start pushing that kind of stuff. But I've been going through a lot, and I've been having really bad dreams and nightmares and stuff that has been happening, and I'm really getting tired of what's been going on in the world, and I feel like I don't know if there's anything I can do to stop it. Recently, there was a shooting at a school in Minnesota, and I think 2 people were killed. And I've always said, ever since they had a shooting, like the Sandy Hook and they've ever had the school shootings like Columbine, Sandy Hook, the campus in Virginia that got, I think it was James Madison or James Madison or the other school that, I can't remember what it was. It happened so long ago. But all these school shootings could be stopped. These school shootings could be stopped if, things, could be done. And, if they could be turned around. And, and I don't know why these school shootings happen. They want people to have, safer guns. They want people to, talk about gun laws, and they want people to say that, they got to get rid of the AR-15. Well, an AR-15 is not an automatic rifle. No. It's a model number of a gun that can shoot a 3-shot burst when put into semi-automatic, but it just goes 1, 2, 3, and that's it. But most of the time when you buy a gun like that, it doesn't do that, because we do not have automatic rifles in the U.S. We don't have the ability to do that. The only way that you can do that is if you optimize the trigger to be able to shoot faster. And pulling the trigger, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, when you pull the trigger, that's what makes the gun go off. And if they had a trigger lock on it, if the parents would have put a trigger lock on it, or the parents would have stored the gun in a gun safe that the kid didn't have the combination to, or this guy didn't have the combination to, then he probably wouldn't have got inside the gun safe, and he probably wouldn't have killed anybody. Because gun safety is all about locking your guns up and only using them when you need them. But I don't understand why people break into people's houses. I don't understand why people take things that's not theirs. If something doesn't belong to you, it's not yours. Don't take it. Now, you see money lying on the ground, and you can't help but take it, because that could be a gift of God. It could be somebody lost it. But if you see a person actually drop money on the ground, and you actually give it back to that person, maybe that person's going to turn around and give you something else, or that person's going to thank you and give it to you anyway. But sometimes you can't just go ahead and just magically think that the world is going to hand you $1 million. Sometimes you have to work for it. And I'm friends with a girl who works really hard, but every time I see a post, she always says that there are people who hate on her for what she does. And her name is Katie. And she's a very wonderful person. She's very busy next week. She's got the CHS show coming up for the Clean Culture show at the CHS Stadium. She's got another car show that she's got going on. And then she's got her car show at Sugar Daddy's. And she is working very hard in a male-dominated world to show that she can do it. And I think she can. And I give her nothing but props. I think she's a great woman, and I really wish her the best. I wish Katie the best. I wish every show that she does from here on out, she has a really good following and a really good turning out. I wish that I could, give her, I wish I could give her everything to help her have one of the best shows in the world by, giving her a lot where she could go and put over 200 cars or 300 cars and people pay her, and she makes a killing. She makes a lot of money doing it. Because I would never ask her for anything. If she went out there and did it all herself, but she had just a little bit of help, she could make miracles happen. She's a very wonderful person. I like her a lot. Another person that's a good friend of mine, his name is Jeremy. If you ever need anybody for a cotton candy machine or anything to make you laugh, Jeremy is a great guy, and he's also going to be a part of our family for the Berserker Naked podcast. He's going to be a part of it, and we're going to start moving the Berserker Naked podcast to my house. We're going to set up a new desk and a new office. Like I said, if anybody has a desk and an office lying around that we could turn into another podcast area or turn into another thing, Jeremy and I would totally love to have it, because we are going to start up a podcast, and we are going to basically multi-stream somewhere, and we are going to start doing our podcast together for the Berserker Naked podcast and for the Tracks Revolution Tracksaholics podcast, because that's what I want to do. I love doing podcasts, and I love doing these things, these videos for you guys, because I think you guys are the greatest people in the world. I think you guys are the best fans in the world, and I wish that more and more people could follow the podcast. What I said about the school shootings, actually I need to go back to that. When they had the school shootings for Sandy Hook and for James Madison and Columbine and all that stuff, basically, if you could hire ex-military guys to sit out in front of these schools, they would never have that problem. Give military people that aren't doing anything right now, put them in front of the schools, checking IDs, checking badges. I always thought that they were going to put metal detectors and stuff like that in front of schools, and it's not just because so that people can walk in there with metal detectors and stuff like that. It's just to protect the kids from going to school every day. But yeah, I understand that nobody wants that kind of world to where they have metal detectors in front of schools and everything, but nobody wants to go to school and get shot up. Nobody wants to go to school and have to sit there the whole day and worry about a bomb threat. Nobody wants to sit there and do that kind of stuff. But you know what? The world just is so full of things that are just, that we can't stop, that we can't control, that we can't figure out why it happens. But it happens so much. Like, yeah, everybody's getting ready to go back to school, and now all of a sudden this happens. Now people are not going to want to go to school. But you got to, because you can't learn anything at home. And and when you're not in school, what do kids do? They spend time on their phones. They play Grand Theft Auto. They play video games. They go around and play Minecraft. They go around and do all this other stuff. And they don't even play outside like they used to. I mean, when it turned dark outside, we were in the house. Because we were outside running around, riding our bikes. We were putting We were putting playing cards in the spokes of our bikes so that we would make noise when we were riding down the road. That was our exhaust can. That was our fart cannon, you know? You know, we were having fun. We were kids. We were playing with water balloons. We were going to lakes. We were going to creeks. We were going to pools. We were jumping in puddles, man. We never ever thought about whipping a gun out on somebody and shooting somebody. No, we never did. And I don't know why the world has come that way to just be that way. I don't get that. You know, there comes a time in a person's life when they sit there and they think, you know, what did I ever do to deserve this? What did I ever do to make myself feel like I'm just, you know, not good enough? I'm not worth it. I just don't like it, you know? It's just not one of those things that happens in my life. You know, there comes a time in a person's life when they need to realize to themselves that, you know, they are good enough. They are bright enough. They are happy. And they understand what kind of world they live in. Mm-hmm. You know, they do what they gotta do. You know. But when we were kids, we never thought about going around and shooting somebody with a gun. We never thought about, you know, we thought about doing it with a super soaker or like throwing water balloons at each other. We never thought about, you know, stabbing somebody with a knife or killing somebody with a gun. We never ever thought that. We never ever felt that rage to anybody. You know, we used to always say that we hated each other, and that was when we were mad at each other because you broke, like, their army figure, or, you know, when you took a G.I. Joe, right? And G.I. Joes had a rubber band inside of them. Yeah, they had a rubber band, or they had like a hair tie inside of them, and that's how it kept the legs on, and then it kept it went through the torso, and then then the head was a hook. So the G.I. Joe had a hook, the body. Now, what we used to do is if you used to take a G.I. Joe and you used to spin it around for a very long time, that rubber band would get tight, and then it would snap. And then the G.I. Joe would break. And the insides, well, like, not the guts, but the rubber band would fall out, and then the G.I. Joe would come apart. And your friend would get so pissed off at you, he'd be like, dude, you broke my G.I. Joe, I hate you. And then he would hate you for like a day, and then you would fix it, or you'd take it back to your mom, and then she would get a hair tie, and she would make G.I. Joe come back to life, because she fix the, G.I. Joe with the hair tie. She would tie the hair tie up and the guy would come back to life. Or, well, the guy would be, able to do stuff, like, fight again. But most of the time, people had G.I. Joes and they fought with them. Ninja Turtles were the same way. You could pull a leg out and then it would go pop. And then you popped it back into place. Barbie dolls' heads would come off. And, it was... And then if you were really mad at your sister, you'd take the Barbie doll's head off and you'd put it in the garbage disposal. And you'd watch it go like that. And you'd make crazy it'd make crazy noises. And you'd be like laughing. You'd be, And then she'd take your G.I. Joe and she'd put it in the garbage disposal. And boy, did that make a lot of noise. That would stop the garbage disposal sometimes. Because G.I. Joes were tough, man. They were tough. But the thing is that we were never to the point where we would ever get so mad at somebody to where we'd shoot them with a gun. And when we used to have BB gun fights, we would never think that a BB gun was ever, strong enough to kill somebody. But if you took one of those things in the eye, you could lose your eye. Yeah, you could. You'd get welts on your legs or whatever, And we'd only do the thing where it was one pump. But, dude, man, kids would never follow the one pump rule. They'd pump that sucker up to 10, and they'd shoot you all the time, and they'd hit you in the ass, and it would hurt. But nowadays, everything is video games. People always think that there's a reset button in life, but there isn't, man. When you kill somebody in life, they don't come back. I mean, I've watched these videos on TV of this. I watched this one video, and it was on like TikTok or on Instagram, and it showed this kid, and he stabbed this girl like 16 times. And he was sitting there in the courtroom, and he was smiling like the devil, like basically, like he was just smiling, so glad of what he did, and then finding out that he wasn't going to get tried as an adult, and he was just going to get let off scot-free. He thought it was okay to just laugh and talk to this mother and talk down to this mother like she was the worst person in the world. And this mother was yelling at this kid, and she was telling him, I can't believe that you stabbed my daughter. I can't believe that you did this. I can't believe you took a life. And he was just smiling the whole time. He was smiling and smiling and smiling. And then the judge noticed this. And when the judge noticed that this kid was smiling and thinking that he was going to get off scot-free, the judge turned around and tried him as an adult. And he basically went to jail for life. And I don't know what happened to this kid when he went into jail for life, but he was tried as an adult. And someone said that the kid went into jail and he never came back. Well, he's not even alive now, because somebody on the inside, I think, killed him. I don't know. I have no idea what happened. But then there's all these people that do these things where they just think that there's a reset button on life, and they think that when you shoot somebody, they're going to come back. But they don't. You don't come back from this. Oh, you're done. Get him. Get him. Oh, come on. That was... Get him. Now he's sleeping. You're good, bro. Run. I need bullets. Hurry up, run. Yeah. If it was a state patrolman, you'd be nailed. But see, like, the thing is that everybody has their own entitlement and their own thing. And one of the things that, and these kids, they sit there and they think there's a reset button on life, and then they sit there and they think that they're not going to get tried as an adult, so they're just going to get slapped on the wrist and they're going to walk away scot-free, but they can't do that, and it's not fair, and killing somebody is not cool. I just wish the world would just stop with all this hatred and all this hate towards people. And It's like a post that I had on Facebook. There was a guy named Beth Judd or Judd Hoff or somebody. I think it's Judd Hoff, and he commented on me saying something about Tommy Lee. Now, Tommy Lee is one of my best friends. Tommy Lee has been with me with the whole camo claws thing, and I hope he doesn't ever forget that. Yeah. I hope he doesn't forget that, because I think he needs to start realizing to himself that, if he doesn't, realize to himself that he is not going to see that it's going to happen, he's not going to make it work. And I don't know what is going on in this world with that, but there's a lot of things that are happening with people just not liking posts and not liking people. And I don't know what happened in this world, and I don't know why it happened, but for some odd reason, Tommy Lee, for some odd reason, posted something saying that why did I even grab the auxiliary cable? I have another cable in here, at least I thought I did. I thought that Tommy Lee, he posted a video, or he didn't post a video, he posted a thing saying that he was upset about how the way things are going in this world and how things are met. But it's one thing to hate on somebody. It's another thing to just totally hate the fact that you have no life and you're having one of those days, so you post it, and then somebody goes ahead and makes it political and says that the Republicans were the one that made Tommy Lee lose his job. And then the person was like, well, after reading this whole entire paragraph, I feel like I've just wasted my friggin' time. So they don't even read the whole entire thing. So, yeah, they don't read the whole entire paragraph, or they don't read the whole entire thing, so then they don't know the whole story, and so then they go off on their own little tangent, thinking that they're right when they're wrong, and they don't know the whole story, which is what a lot of people in this world, they don't know. They don't know the whole entire story, and they need to stay in their damn lane. And I love Tommy Lee. I have nothing but respect for him. And he should know that. And he should know that. And he should understand that. And see, he posts a lot of political things. He posts a lot of political things on his page. And that's not the person who got him fired from his job. He got fired for his job for saying something about politics on the radio, which you're not supposed to say anything about politics on the radio, but it's also freedom of speech. So the reason why the radio got rid of him is because they didn't like what he said. But if he had his own radio station and he wanted to say what he wants to say, that's freedom of speech. Yeah, they can't fire you for that because it's your radio station. The radio station is the one that got rid of him for his job. So Tommy Lee should be mad at the radio station, not at Donald Trump or not at the Republicans or not at any party. The Democrats aren't offering him a job. The Democrats aren't saying, hey, come to our radio station in the sky and we'll give you a job and a sign-on bonus of $1,000. No, the Democrats aren't doing that. The Democrats don't do anything but do it for themselves. I mean, the Democrats are a party. They're a political party. Yes. Just like the Republicans are. Yeah. There's the Democrats, there's the Republicans, there's the liberals, there's the left-wingers, the right-wingers, the people who don't care about politics, the people who just are naturalized or neutral, the people who don't care who you voted for. Like, I don't care. I don't care if you voted for Donald Trump. I don't care if you voted for Joe Biden. I don't care if you voted for Kamala Harris. Because, see, the thing is no matter who's in the White House, you know, everybody's going to either hate him, love her, love or hate her, you know, and it doesn't matter. It matters if you take care of what you're supposed to do. And what matters in this world is that people love and respect each other. If you love and respect each other and you love God and you believe in Him, then yes, you'll have a better understanding and an outlook on life. That's why I do the Berserker Naked podcast, because I don't even go by Jack Craning anymore, because Jack Craning is basically dead to me, because Jack Craning is a guy that whenever I'm around and if people call me Jack Craning, I get really negative. I get really mad, because the thing is that I'm not a very positive person as Jackson is. I don't feel very positive. I feel like I'm not happy, and I feel like I'm negative, or I feel like nothing is going my way. So I just don't really quite understand. So I don't really follow people as Jack Craning anymore, because I am trying to get my name changed, because I want to be Jaximus. I want to be Jaximus Claus, because I have a better and a more positive aura when I'm him. Yes. I mean, a lot of people don't understand the story, but there is a big thing about Jaximus, and I started calling myself that when my friend Jake was going to school at the McNally Smith School of Music here in St. Paul. I started calling myself Jaximus. I started calling myself Cowboy Jaximus, DJ Jaximus, MC Jaximus. I started doing all these different names, and I was like, you know, maybe if I could just figure something out that was really cool. My friend Shane, he changed his name from DJ Trip to DJ Zero Cool, and I think that's a better name. So I actually started dealing with stuff, and I've actually came up with a DJ name or an MC name, and I'm going to start calling myself DJ Berserker Claus, because I like that name. And basically what I do is I scratch records on the 1 and 2 with my big bear claws. And, you know, the stereotype for a bear is a gay guy. But I'm not going to let that bother me, because, you know, people ask me all the time, Jack. They're like, you know, what is it about you? Are you gay? Are you straight? Or whatever? And I go, why does it matter? I'm me. You know, I'm what I want to be. I'm happy with being in my shell. I'm happy at being who I want to be. That's what I want to be. you know, and I've always sat here and I've always said to myself, you know, there comes a time in a person's life, yes, Andrew, I'm using my famous line, that Andrew Perkison, or Andrew Dye used to always hear me say that, and he's always like, oh, here it goes, there comes a time in every man's life. Well, there comes a time in a person's life when they need to realize to themselves that they live in a world where if you honestly think about everything that goes on in this world, you'll be a better person and a happier person when things are going your way. When things aren't going your way, you kind of feel negative about yourself. And I just don't like that when that happens to people. Because I don't think that we need to be negative with each other anymore. I think we need to be positive with each other. Positivity is the right way to go. Now, I've been posting stuff on my Facebook page and always doing stuff on my feed and my wall, and I've been trying to get more and more people to understand where I'm coming from. And I visited with a pastor, his name's Pastor Tyler, from the River of Life Church in St. Joe, and basically he told me that, you know, if you believe in God and you believe that there's a higher power out there and you follow him and you trust him and you trust in him and you trust in God, you can trust in, you can trust in him for life. And a lot of people need to start trusting in God and need to start understanding. And one of the reasons why I feel like I think that there's a God out there is because I had a nervous a breakdown, and it happened a couple of weekends ago. And after this, my life has totally changed now, and it's going for the positive, which I think is great. I wanted to drown myself in a bathtub. I filled the bathtub up with water, enough to basically submerge my head completely underwater. And basically what I did was you don't plug your nose, you just put your head under the water and then you let everything go. And you basically get to the point where you suck in water and you think to yourself that you just let yourself completely go. And what happens is you let yourself completely go to the point where your brain and your mind and everything shuts down, and then you suck in water through your nose, and basically you choke on water is what happens. And you basically end up passing out and dying in a bathtub. Now, I'm not saying it's a good thing to do. It's killing yourself is not a good thing to do. It's the worst thing you can do. And it's just wrong, and don't ever do it, please. If people kill themselves, I don't understand. If you're having issues and you want to reach out, please reach out and get help. Don't let yourself get to the point where you are just completely and utterly done and you don't want to talk to anybody. You got to take care of it. So what happened to me was I submerged my head in the water. I was laying there and I had a vision. I had a vision of Dustin Van Camp, and I had a vision of Damien. Damien was this kid who was a friend of mine, who I hung out with you know, sometimes when I hung out with Brian Sullivan and Mike Shaw and, you know, John Zoll and Kerry Guy and all these guys and my friends and everything. And Damien was a guy that basically told me that Jamie Samar, my ex-girlfriend, was just not the right woman for me. And he told me that. And then he ended up dying in an HVAC accident. And he ended up burning to death, is what I remember. And Dustin was killed in a motorcycle accident. So, you know, it's just one of those things that, you know, happens that you just can't, you know, fathom. And you think, well, if that's you know, if that's how you remember your best friends, you know, you remembered all the good times, and they've always come back to you. And Dustin and Damien both saw me with my head in the water, and then they smacked the shit out of me, and they said, "What the hell are you doing, dude? What are you doing? Why are you doing this to yourself? Why are you killing yourself? Why are you wasting a good person on a stupid way of killing yourself?" So I threw my head out of the water, splashed water against my wall, and I woke up. And I was sitting in my bathroom, and I was crying. I was crying for a long time. I realized to myself that I had made one of the biggest and stupidest decisions in my entire life, and that was to take my own life. And I don't know why I did that. I hit rock bottom. And I hate my life. I hate myself for doing that. So I was really mad at myself. Yes. I was really mad at myself for doing that. And I was really upset. And so I sat there, wiped myself off, and thought to myself, the hell was I doing? And ever since that day, I've been feeling a lot more positive. I've been loving myself. But the thing is that Damien and Dustin told me that I need to become Jackson's. They told me that Jack Craning is dead. Yes. Jack Craning is dead. They told me that Jack Craning has been nothing but a negative person in your entire life, and he's corrupted by the devil. He's corrupted by porn. He's corrupted by problems, pain and suffering. And it's time for him to be put asleep. It's time for Jaximus to rise. It's time for Jaximus to come into this world and be recognized. It's time for Jaximus Claus to start coming into this world and taking over my life and making me feel positive. Now, there's a story that I've been working on called Jaximus the Berserker. And Jaximus the Berserker is a Viking warrior who lives in a time from the 600s all the way till 2021. His time is 4 years apart from ours. So when Jaximus goes to 2021, we're in 2025. we're 4 years apart. Yeah, we're 4 years apart. Is what we are. We're 4 years apart. And the reason we're 4 years apart is because, one, that's how the time warp goes. That's how the time warp from Asgard to America or to real life goes. And it stops us 4 years apart. I don't know why that is. It's just how the dream world goes that I'm in, that I'm a part of. And I don't know why. I don't understand. I don't get it. I don't seek and destroy. I don't understand what kind of world we live in where we feel like a person who gives their time and understands and respects people is given a second chance in life. So I play a character in this dream called Jaximus the Berserker, a Viking who was born in 600, turned 21 in 621, became immortal without having any parents, because his mom died giving birth to him. He is basically a bastard son of Odin. That is what he is. So you're sitting here thinking, well, what about Thor and Loki? Well, Thor and Loki are sons of Odin. But Jaximus is a son of Odin. He's the third son of Odin. They also had a daughter. And she is named Valkyrie. Her name is Valkyrie. Valkyrie something J or Valkyrie K or something like that. And it's like Valkyrie K. Yeah, it's like Valkyrie Jacqueline or something like that. But yeah, and I don't know why it's Jacqueline. I mean, it just, that was the name that I gave her. It was Valkyrie J, and we called her Valkyrie Jacqueline. And or Jackie or whatever. But it was just Valkyrie J is what we called her. And Valkyrie J is a woman who basically is a bastard daughter of Odin. Because Freya went down, got pregnant from a guy that she slept with, and turned out to be, giving birth to a child, and she made Valkyrie J. Valkyrie J is a girl who is very strong. She's very, she's very, put together. She's kind of like a cross between, Xena Warrior Princess and She-Hulk. But she has the ability to grow and contract. But she can't kill Jaximus. That's the thing. She can't kill him. And supposedly, those two are supposed to come together and become the next Odin and Freya. Yes. That's what it's supposed to be. And I know you're probably thinking, well, they're brother and sister. Well, that's what is kind of different, is they're not. They're offspring from two different people. Yes. Meaning that Odin didn't have anything to do with Valkyrie. No, Freya had Valkyrie. Freya slept with another guy. Yes. But that's beside the point. So, the Jaximus story and where I come from is that the Jaximus Claus story is that I am basically saying to myself that I am done being Jack Craning or Jonathan Craning, because I think that when I'm around that person or I'm that personality, I'm negative. And I do not like being that way. I do not like being negative. I like being positive. I like having a great outlook on life. I like being happy. I don't like being down. So I want to be Jaximus. I want to be Jaximus Frosty Claus. And now that I'm turning legendary or getting well seasoned, my hair is starting to turn gray and white, and everything's starting to happen, I'm becoming more and more of a Claus. I'm looking like a Santa Claus every day. And I want to be a Claus. I want to be Santa's cousin. Because I can't be the real Claus. No, but I can be a pretty darn good cousin. So, but I'm a lot happier when I'm Claus. I'm a lot happier when I'm Jaximus. I'm a lot happier when I'm not Jack Craning. When I'm, not my own thing. Dude, you need to get some sleep, bro. You're going over the line. Yeah, you need to figure out what you're going to do with your run there, dude. You need to move over. But one of the things that I say and I do and I think is we live in a world that is completely and utterly amazing if we all just started believing in God and we all started coming together. So my final thought that I say is this. If you believe and you're happy with the way things are in life, just remember to always be positive. Never be negative. Being negative is never going to get you anywhere. It's always going to get you down. It's never going to make you happy. You're always going to hate life. You're always going to think that, my life could be better off if I was this way or that way or whatever. Always go out there and think that you're going to be better than you are. And never turn away from your goals. If you have a goal in life to be what you want to be, then you'll get it. If you believe in it, if you listen to what other people say, you're never going to go anywhere. And, and I've been wanting to do this podcast and I've been wanting to do this thing for a long time, because the thing is that more and more people nowadays just go and do what they have to do. They have to run their life. They have to make it work. They have to think that, hey, you know what? I'm a positive person. I'm cool. I'm calm. I'm collected. I got this. America, I love you. I need you. I like you. Like the girl from the movie Field of Dreams. Yeah. I mean, everybody, when you're smiling, you have a better feel. And everybody's a lot better when you're happy. When you're down and negative and you're feeling like Eeyore all the time, nobody wants to be around you. See, there are times when I start to put on things and I start to say things, and I just feel like I just missed out on my opportunity. And there are times and there are things that people do and they're just like, dude, man, I missed out on my opportunity. And I feel like I'm never going to go very far. But if you really and truly think about it, just for a second, if you think about it for a second, you'll make it work. And that's what everybody needs, is making it work. And that's how it needs to be, And more and more people nowadays just need to realize to themselves that, there is a life. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. And if they don't stop and think about it for a second, they'll never ever get it. Man, it's a long night. Yeah, I started at 10 o'clock. I clocked in about, 9:45. I've been working for about 5 hours now, and I'll tell you, man. I don't know, man. I got a long day ahead of me. But I just want to say thanks again for those who are watching and everything else. I'm done. Watch for the next show coming up at the Mad Meet, alright? We're at the Minnesota United Minis meet in Chanhassen. I'll talk to you later.